Today I have with me Jake Green. Hello, Jake.
Hi, how are you doing?
We are pressing on as ever. We met a little bit ago, didn't we? The end of 2023 at Redeeming Our Communities conference. I got to know you just a little tiny bit, and I thought, oh, nice chap. And then you reached out because you started a project. So just give us a really brief overview, because I want to come into more detail later. But what's the project, just very briefly?
So the project itself, in a nutshell, is mental health advocacy and support with one-to-one.
Okay, and that's something that you're doing, and you've got some people. You're already you're part way. It's not like we're going to do this. We are doing this. That's where you're at, isn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was an answer to prayer, and it's pursued and grown and continues to do so.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's just go back a little bit in time then. So mental health is something that clearly in the UK, particularly right now, we can see so much damage in young people and in teenagers and in people in their 20s and their 30s. The pressure of life has definitely changed. I mean, I'm mid 40s and I'm looking back 20 years thinking, life has changed. The pace of life, the information, you want your Amazon order. Yeah, order it by this time. It's there that day.
Yeah.
But all of those things create pressure on somebody, and those somebodies, I'm guessing, are some of the people that you are wanting to help. So what is motivating you to want to spend some of your time developing this particular project?
So my motivation is through my own personal battle. So obviously over the years, like you say, times have been difficult, prices, inflation, the things that are going on day to day are becoming more difficult to bear. People are having to work multiple jobs to get a salary to get by, and it's the suffering in the background that people think, oh, you know what, we've all got no money, we're all doing this, we're all doing that, and just try and brush it off. But it affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And throughout COVID, obviously it was a global change. Everyone had to either work from home or come away from work. Businesses were closing down. And it was just a huge time for mental health to become a much bigger issue, because everyone was isolated. They couldn't see friends and family, so they couldn't get that support. So it's through COVID that the numbers have escalated, and it's through the journey I've been through that doesn't want people to feel isolated, that wants people to talk, that wants people to feel like they're a part of something bigger. And essentially that's what the company is about. It's about being able to say, we'll listen to you, we'll talk with you. We're not going to treat you as a patient, we're going to treat you as a friend. We've got a shoulder, we've got an ear, just come to us and we can do everything we can with you.
Because that ability to talk is critical. One of the things I remember going back a few years, particularly in regards to physical health rather than mental health, is quite a few big organizations or festivals said, look, we know that while a woman is probably going to go to a doctor or go and get some help, we know that it's more likely that a man is not. So what they did at some of the festivals, they had things like drop-in centers for guys to go and get stuff checked out. We know that they're not going to do that. Do you think that's replicated in mental health as well, or is that just more of a physical difference?
So there are organizations and companies and charities out there that do have those kind of hubs for mental health. In the local area, they have things like men's sheds. They have hiking groups. So although it's sort of like a physical activity or a physical location, it's there to support the mental health aspect, because people find the relief in doing activity. People find it in doing crafts. People just find it easier to talk to someone, and people, again, completely shut themselves off. And it's in that moment that trying to find something that relates to them, so something that they find beneficial, that they find comfort in, and being able to use that to their advantage to help them through.
Yeah, because it's that talking thing, isn't it? If I talk to somebody, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? So, when I saw a video the other day, it was a compilation of different men specifically on this particular video, and it was somebody got a video of them the day before they committed suicide, and they were all happy on the surface of it, and they were all getting on with life on the surface of it, and yet underneath there all this pain, because I guess my guess would be they didn't feel that they had somebody that they could safely talk with in such a way to start to deal with some of the pressures of life.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like I say, with the doors to therapy and to diagnosis and the waiting times, people can feel like they're forgotten. People like, and then that causes them to think that they don't matter. And it's in that silence and in that sort of that dark section of the waiting that's when it gets really difficult and sometimes too difficult for people. And it was again, the company was set up to light that darkness up, to be able to say to people, look, we can help you through. Yes, you might not be able to see the end goal, or it might seem too far away, but if you can see your next step, we'll help you take it, and then we get further and further. And again, it's progress, because these things don't just disappear overnight. Although we wish that they could, it's the realistic side of things is they don't. And it's about giving people the time and being patient, because through these mental difficulties, people find that they can sometimes become snappy, or they can be, short focused. And in doing so, they might not be able to just get up, dance, and fix things in an instant. So some conversations might last a minute, some conversations might last an hour. And it's about working with the person and to their measure, as opposed to saying, no, come on, push, you can do this, you can do this, because it becomes overbearing. And that, again, a pressure, which, it makes it a lot harder.
So what's your story then? Let's go back a little bit in time, just because of your own faith journey, because people who start an organization project like you're doing, it comes out of something. Either I can make money out of this, or I care about people, and that's the motivation. I don't think there's a third option there, really. And either of those are valid. But what I see in you, for having known you just a tiny bit, is you care about people, because I met you for 5 minutes and I just felt your care and compassion. So what's the story to how you've developed that care and compassion?
So again, with a sort of a long-winded mental health struggle, really, going from different schools due to being bullied, my parents were always making sure that I was, in better hands. So if there was an issue at school, they'd take me somewhere else. If there was an issue at that school, they'd find somewhere. And because my dad worked away, we were able to essentially sort of shift around to different places. And it's sort of the replication of how my mum cared and raised myself. Over the years, like I say, through high school, bullying continued, things got worse. And the teenage years, GCSEs, schooling it was a nightmare, because not being able to focus solely on work and learning, it was a difficult path, because I was more focused on, something's going to happen in 10 minutes when that bell goes off. And it's so, like I say, it's through that journey of sort of the suffering behind the basic things at an early age. So again, going through school and having the stress aspect of it, but then growing up and sort of moving into adulthood, it's like trying to find friendship groups, make new friends, is seemingly more difficult as an adult than it is a child. So when it comes to people trying to talk, it doesn't happen as much as it would if you were a teenager and you've got all your school friends. It's a lot more difficult to find someone that will genuinely sit there and listen without judgment. And it's just something that it has developed. It's a sense of that care, saying, I don't want people to feel isolated. I don't want people to feel forgotten. I don't want people to feel like they're just existing. And like the journey of faith, it was a good 10, 15 years ago. And it was to support my brother in a religious education project. He said, I want to go to church and I want to learn about different religions. I was like, right, okay. So me, my mum, and my brother went down to church. We had a speaker there, and her name was Sue, and she was absolutely phenomenal. It was the first time that we'd met her. And she went through the sermon. She said, right, just everyone close their eyes and just remain silent. We were in silence. And she started asking questions, saying, if anyone feels something now, might stand up. And within about 3 or 4 questions, everyone's eyes were closed, and all I heard was, wow. So obviously Sue could see it all. And she got everyone, said, right, everyone open your eyes. And everyone was stood up. Everyone had felt something at that sermon. And that was the kind of point I went, okay, this is magic. This is what we want. This is good. And sort of from there, that's where sort of the basic journey started. And we started the Alpha course, the starter courses. I even went through the foundations of ministry for the church. And yeah, I was devoted, early on, and sort of the devotion grew over time. The job that I was in, I went through an apprenticeship with Microsoft, and the job that I had was well paid. But when Redeeming Our Communities came into literally across the road from myself, they said, we're moving into this building, and we're going to need some help. And the building that they were in was a project that the school had run. And because I'd been to that school, I'd done the training, I was able to get in on the project and help build the network system. And in doing so, I was able to then turn around and say, I've been there, I've seen how it's set up, I can help you. And from that moment, I went from helping out with networks to graphics, to ground maintenance, to data work. I was trying to get into everything. And it was the best job I ever had. It was something that, because I had so many things to focus on, my brain was always engaged in something. It was something different. It was, it was someone new that had come along. I was there, I was engaged, I was doing something. And every other job that I've been in outside of that has always been a case of, it's not got my interest. There's something missing. And then I look back and reflect and said, like, the one thing that was missing that I enjoyed the most was the prayer meetings that we had every week. People coming together, they used to come in, I'd pray about the week, the people, the projects, and there was the unity there. It was the togetherness it was the community. And that was a massive sort of turning point for me, saying, I want to do community work, I want to help people, because I was seeing the impact that Redeeming Our Communities was making. And it was sensational. And I lived by it, and I did as much as I could there. And it was many years later that Deborah had got in touch and said, we've got this conference and we need help. And I hadn't spoken to Deborah for 3 or 4 years. And she popped up saying, we need help. I said, I'll be there, I'll help. Because to me, that was a calling. So where's my next pinpoint? Where's my next step? And it came forward. So I said, yeah, we'll help. And I attended the conference. That's where we met your good self. And whilst we were there, I had it in my mind again, because of the community work. So I want to help with mental health. I want to help people get through these struggling times. And we sat there and we prayed. It's like, right, we need, what's the last sign? What is the door opener, essentially? And sure enough, she brought out keys. And she's told a lot of story about keys in the past and sort of the prophetic behind it. But when they brought the keys around, the key that she was giving me had the word hope on the back of it. And that, to me, that opened every door I could imagine. That was just, you choose where you want to go with this now, because wherever you go, I'm taking you with me. And that was the game changer, to say, this is where I want you. This is what I want you to do. This is what you can be passionate about. And this is how you're going to make it. This is how you're going to live. And from then, like I say, it's had its challenges, but through prayer and prosperity, it's all come through, and I've made it to where I am, and it continues to grow. People are continuously coming to us, and it's just really nice to see. But where I am now, I wouldn't have been able to do without prayer. I wouldn't have been able to do without finding God at that moment in time, because although it wasn't the most difficult time of life, it's one of the things I had to face, to realize and to accept that, to walk out of that and to continue walking in a more positive and proactive way. That is what I had to find, and it's where I had to be. So yeah, it was life changing.
And I really like how one of the things about life is we look at it and think, what can we do? How can we affect this? We look at the problems around us and always see these big mountainous problems that are bigger than us. But actually, every single one of us can do something. We can smile at somebody. We can hold the door open. We can carry a bag out of a boot for a mum who can't get everything into the pram. There are so many daily opportunities where we can do something, but many of us choose to do nothing because well, what will they think if we hold a door? What will they think if a bloke comes and helps them with a pram? And we have all these judgments. I found interestingly when I got a beard a few years back, when I was in, I've always smiled at kids. It's just something I do. I've worked with children. When I got a beard and I'd meet somebody in a supermarket, all of a sudden, just having a beard meant the mum was less nervous, which was fascinating. And I'd smile at the kid. It's just something I've always done. But it's interesting how perspective and we have on people and perceptions and stuff. But I love how you learned so much from Deborah Green, who is redeeming our communities, and that idea of hope, because that idea of hope is what you're bringing to others, isn't it?
Yeah. So again, that was the signature on the dotted line, so to speak. It was that word. It was a key. So again, opening the door and give hope. That was it.
And again, that's something we can actually do that in different ways. Of course, Jesus Christ is going to be that hope. I know when we chatted before, I mentioned about the Bishop of Winchester going back nearly a decade, and when he came along, he said to people, "Look, it's great that we're going into people's homes. It's great we can take communion, we can do home visits, but above all that, they need Jesus even more." And there are quite a few feathers ruffled if we just want to go and do communion, but what's the reason behind that? And I love how your faith is part of you. But you're not just doing your company for people of faith, right? I mean, this is for everybody, right?
Yeah, it's massively open, and it's about the equality, it's about the diversity, because people get judged for everything nowadays. You can't just walk down the street and someone not look at you for something, and it's a massive shame because people don't feel that they can live to be themselves or who they feel that they are and be happy because someone's talking about them or looking at them in a different way. So the whole organization was based around everyone's equal, everyone's appreciated, everyone's loved, and everyone will be looked after, because we don't feel it's right for someone that's struggling to continue to struggle. That you want to talk to people, you can come and talk to people that are going to treat you the way you want to be treated. And it allows people to be themselves. So if they spend so much time of the week trying to put a mask on to pretend to be someone for other people, it gives them a space to come out and say, right, I can be myself now. I can talk the way I want to talk and dress the way I want to dress, and I can just be present in happiness. So it's open for everyone. And again, that comes inside and outside of faith.
Which is one of the things we're seeing Jesus, right? He went around and he'd speak to people, he'd preach to people, but he'd also quite frequently solve a problem. And that was kind of the way. Now, often the problem solving for him was healing somebody physically, but healing somebody mentally would be one of those things that would happen at the same time. I'm certain of that. And so, yeah, that's really cool. So just tell us a bit. So if I remember rightly, so your company basically is going to be peer-to-peer. So did I remember this rightly, that you're using people, or you want people to help who have been through some sort of mental health struggle? I mean, is that part of the people that you want to be able to, in order then to help others?
Yeah. So again, the personal experience to us is massive, because waiting for a therapist who's been through the professional training and doctors that have put the time and effort in to get where they have, that waiting time to not be spoken to, again, causes a lot of downtime, it causes a lot of doubt and upset. And by getting people that have experienced it, that have experienced those wait times and how it feels, we're able to then sort of collate that together and go to people and say, look, we know where you're at now. We've been there. So we know exactly how bad and upset you feel. And because we've experienced it, we can share, we can share experiences. We can share how we managed to fix that particular scenario. And as a company, we could engage with someone and says, oh, I've just had a diagnosis, but I'm not going to see someone for like 2 years. And I've got this going on and that going on. So we can make phone calls. So we can talk to people, happy to sit there, because people have anxieties on answering the phone nowadays. And it's about giving people accessibility to the world that's much better and safer and just happier. Because when you start facing the limitations of not being able to be yourself, the limitation of, am I good enough? Am I fitting in? Where do you turn? And that's where the faith came into play for myself. Like, where do I turn? What do I do? How do I fit in? And it was through faith that I got to where I am. And it's through, the teachings in the Bible that I've been able to gather. It's like, to love people in a proper manner and to respect people and to know the difficulties of being judged. And the Bible itself opened up a lot of doors in the past to get me to the point that I was at, to make that final decision. And the journey itself, to get me to this point, it's been a rocket ride. It's best to say. There's been ups, there's been downs, but there's always been a way forward. So it's about giving people, as I say, it's the hope for them. And by giving people that have had experience a chance to use their experience as a fuel to help someone else, it also helps motivate them to say, what I've gone through, it was terrible, but I've stopped someone going through that, and they feel a sense of achievement and belonging because that person's then thankful for helping them through. And it's by using that methodology of talking to people with the experience that it grows to become something more personal and equipped to a particular person's needs.
How can people find out more about what it is you're doing, whether they want to support you in through financing it, whether they want to come and be a volunteer, whether they want to access some help? Where do people go to get hold of you?
Yeah, so the website is live. So it's emeraldjourney.co.uk. We have got social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, got TikTok page, YouTube. We're dotted around. We do try and partner with numerous charities and organisations. So through Mind, we do some work with them. But essentially, the main contact is through the web page.
Cool. Okay, should you give us that one website one more time for people to get?
Yep. So it's emeraldjourney.co.uk.
Fab. And people can access you there and either volunteer or get help or whatever they need to go through there.
Yeah. So the web addresses are access on all pages. The inquiry email address is down at the bottom of the page, and you can send anything through, whether it's a service of peer-to-peer mentoring, or whether it's something more specialist, whether you need graphics, whether you need help with a car. There's little things that we can do. Again, as small as it is, there's talent sets there that can help people with smaller things that potentially cause a bigger problem. So if it's something we can help with and it's something you need help with, it's one of those things that we'll try to do.
I think that's a good place to end that, really. Emeraldjourney.co.uk if you want to know more about Jake, if you want to access mental health help, or perhaps you want to help into providing help for others. That's your destination for that one. Jake, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to see you again and to hear how not only have you been through some stuff and you come through some stuff, which is always encouraging, but on top of that, you're actually doing something constructive for other people as well. So we will watch emeraldjourney.co.uk and we hope it will just continue to grow and you get the support you need as you support other people. Jake, thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you as well. I appreciate it.